Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to another episode of the Crusty podcast, episode 258. That's right, Tucker Carlson and the OUTCRY, all these diehard so-called liberal supporters, upset that Tucker Carlson came to Canada and spoke his mind. Oh, the outrage. Oh, my goodness. All the hurt feelings parades everywhere. All that more come up in this podcast. Stick around. There might be some swearing. There might be some smoking. I don't know. But hey, stick around nonetheless.
Hit it, sweetheart. Because I am hard, you will not like me. Yes, sir. There is no racial bigotry here. Here you are all equally worthless.
From Western Canada, this is the Crusty Canuck podcast, a Canadian veteran's point of view on political, social, economic issues and life. Here's Crusty.
And that's right, ladies and gentlemen, episode 258 of the Crusty Canuck podcast. And it's beautiful 29th of January, a beautiful Monday. Yes, indeed. Hello, all. Hello, one. I'm your host, Crusty Canuck. Thank you very much to all those individuals that have responded to my last video. I would have had one up sooner, but I had a funeral this past Saturday. An old comrade, friend of mine, passed away. And, well, it was kind of a sad day. So I wasn't really in the mood to get out there and, put a podcast up anyway. But just a reminder too, if you like and hear what you see, please click like and subscribe. Share this content all over your social media platforms too. Help us Canucks get our rhythm, get our words, and get our thoughts out there so you wonderful people, can have a different point of view at your fingertips. That being said, this episode is also brought to you in part and supported by the Veterans for Freedom. That's right. They've got a pretty good website, a bunch of switched on individuals promoting freedom of speech, assembly, and association, all that good stuff. There'll be links in the description for you to follow too. And if you feel like donating, please consider donating, ladies and gentlemen, too. I'd like to make some money at this podcast. I do put some work when it comes to programming, formulating, getting my skits and stuff together, plus a lot of stuff off the top of my head to entertain you all out there too. So just please, if you like and hear what you see, please click like, subscribe, share this content all over your social media platforms, and don't be shy to send me a comment or a thumbs up and all that good stuff once this video is on YouTube, Rumble, and all other mentioned platforms. So like I say, Tucker Carlson was in Canada last week. Basically, a lot of people were upset because he said he wanted to liberate Canada because he's one of the many Americans that are taking notice of what's going on here. Okay, for the longest time, as far as I can remember growing up, a lot of Americans didn't give two shits about Canada, and a lot of Canadians didn't give two shits about the United States. Okay, and not in a political format, just it was no big deal. We all grew up watching American shows. We all grew up watching our Canadian shows too, right? So the culture exchange was there, but it wasn't there. And the culture is relatively similar, but they're not similar. And we share common interests. Sometimes we don't share common interests, but we still have two working democracies in this country. I'd like to think. I'd also like to think, too, that we can see eye to eye when it comes to trading, economics, social and cultural differences, as well as defense understanding and an allyship when it comes to defending each other's country. Okay. But the past few years, this country has slacked when it comes to the culture war, has come to realize that it's better to be woke and go broke rather than be realistic and use common sense. Tucker Carlson's the type of reporter that picks on that and notices it, and criticizes it. Now, there are times he's made comments about our Canadian government I disagree with. There's times he's made comments about certain policies that I disagree with. There's times he's backed up certain American moguls, certain American politicians I disagreed with. But regardless of what you think on the spectrum of freedom of speech and expression, he has every right to express himself, just as what you do, just as what your college professor does when he's talking about woke economics, and just as much as your mother has to do when she's upset with you about something. I remember Ann Coulter. I am sure a few subscribers have heard of her. Very conservative leaning politician, political aficionado, writer, critic, you name it. And I remember a few years ago, she had an interview with the Fifth Estate, and she tried to tell the interviewer that Canada had combat troops in Vietnam. That was a big no-no. We never had combat troops in Vietnam. There are a lot of Canadians that crossed the border and served with American services, but there were no men and women on the ground fighting the VC or the NVA under the flag of Canada. Okay. Now, mind you, at that time, there was a lot of Canadian business and manufacturers that made things from shells to mortar shells to Jeep parts to berets to bootlaces and to Agent Orange that contributed to that war. But I'll leave that for another episode or another time. But regardless of the banter we have back and forth across our borders, we have always gotten along with things. We've always gotten along when it comes to social catastrophes, i.e. starvation in Africa back in the 80s. We both agreed to send aid to Ethiopia. We both agreed to send aid to those countries that were affected by earthquakes. I think Mexico City had a big one there back in the early 80s. And Canada and the United States respectively sent a lot of aid down there to assist. Okay. A lot of Canadians helped out during Hurricane Katrina, too. There were some Canadian naval vessels there that helped with clearing some debris and making passageways for certain pipes. A lot of Canadian divers did some good work down there for our American friends. So when people banter and clench their pearls, oh my God, how dare Tucker Carlson bring his mega politics to Canada? You sound like it's never happened before. See, you disenfranchise one journalist who's quite popular, who has some, he speaks some common sense, believe it or not, ladies and gentlemen. He's not anti-gay. He's not racist. He's not anti-anything. He's basically anti-bullshit. And we forget that because there's a lot of Canadians in this country still that are pre-programmed to believe everything that the CBC and CTV and Global and City Pulse News has to say about day-to-day existence. And these news conglomerates love doing that to you because they don't want you to think for yourself. I remember doing a project in high school. We talked about censorship. And the big controversy at that time was Madonna doing her show back at the old Sky Dome, and there were some police officers and some city officials that were against her suggestive material, and they tried to censor her. And I remember a friend of mine and I, we did a project about censorship, and we basically come up to the conclusion that if you don't like what you see and hear, then you either turn off the channel, turn the page, put the book down, or get another magazine. But somehow we're forgetting that because a lot of these big wigs in Ottawa and a lot of these big wigs everywhere else with their expertise on wokeism, oh my goodness, are trying to toe the line when they're afraid to hook up the line. You know what I mean? It's like I always say, crack don't smoke itself, folks.
Stay updated and follow Crusty Canuck on Facebook, Twitter, Gab, Telegram, YouTube, and Podbean. Subscribe today and donate at crustycanuck.ca.
And that's right, ladies and gentlemen, you're back to episode 258, the Crusty Canuck podcast. I'm your host, Crusty Canuck, Tucker Carlson, and the Outcry. There's a picture there on my card of Randy Boissonnault there. He's a member of Parliament. Yes, he is the Minister of Employment, Workforce Development, and Official Languages. Geez, that's one hell of a title. Why can't you just be the Minister of Employment? Doesn't employment and workforce go the same way? I don't know. And development, workforce development. So, and yet he's the first one to complain any goddamn time somebody says something bad about gay people. Now, once again, I will remind my wonderful audience, you wonderful people out there, I am not anti-gay. I am not racist. I don't care who you love. Love to the best of your ability. Do what you want. Do it well. Just don't hit people and take their stuff. That's simple, right? Okay. But in the likes of politicians like Randy Boissonnault and Pablo Rodriguez and Pascal Saint-Onge and Stephen Guilbeault, all toting this virtue about anti-hate this, anti-hate that. And yet they're the first bunch of politicians next to our Prime Minister, Justin Trudeau, and Chrystia Freeland tilts her head like a puppy when she speaks. They're the first ones to tote hatred all around when it comes to liberty, when it comes to freedom of speech and expression, and what we do with our money, right? So when I hear a guy like Randy Boissonnault speak about virtue, especially when he's from Edmonton Center, and I've spent some time down at Edmonton Center. I did a training course for a security company I was working for. We're there for about a week, and it wasn't too strange to go outside and have a cigarette and to take a look, someone squatting, taking a dump, or someone squatting, taking a leak. And that's the district. That's the riding that Mr. Boissonnault supports there. And I'm thinking, okay, you're talking about hatred and you're talking about all this anti-gay talk, and yet there are people that live in that area that take it upon themselves while they're walking to work or coming home or going anywhere for that matter. They take the time out to stop, drop trowel, and pinch a loaf right on the street. And sir, you have the audacity to sit there and tell us about all this mega style politics. You have the audacity to sit and tell us about how we have to be nicer and kinder. Okay. Well, part of being nice and kind is good hygiene. Huh? Yeah, go. What a novel idea. Oh, you mean actually taking responsibility for yourself? Like, there's numerous times I've been on the TTC in my youth and I had to really go to the bathroom. That doesn't mean I'm going to drop my drawers and hang one out and piss on the tracks. Or that does that mean I'm going to drop my drawers and pinch a loaf right there on seat number C before I hit St. Clair Avenue? Right? Anyway, having a brain fart here. But you people are not stupid. You know exactly what I'm talking about here. Common courtesy, right? So when you hear the likes of Randy Boissonnault going on about hatred and evil and everything, I'll just cue up a video here of the outrage. Those 4 previous politicians that I mentioned are going about the whole Tucker Carlson event and how they were so scared and just so offended by his presence, right? And I still get a chuckle out of it because it's nothing but toting a virtue, ladies and gentlemen. We'll say that. Yeah, toting a virtue. That's all it is. It has nothing to do with hatred or fascism or being a Nazi. It's just somebody speaking his mind, and you individuals in Parliament just can't handle it. That's what it is. That's what it comes down to. It has nothing to do with your feelings. It's just, you want to keep toting garbage, and well, you're just going to get it. So adjust your audio accordingly, ladies and gentlemen, and listen to this if you can. You'll hear Mr. Randy Boissonnault pop up and say wonderful, magical things in light of Mr. Carlson and his speech, and our Premier Danielle Smith and her speech too.
Here with my colleagues, Liberal caucus members, ministers all, to talk about what happened last night in Edmonton when the Premier of the province of Alberta, Danielle Smith, invites Tucker Carlson right into the heart of my riding. You can tell a lot about a person by the company they keep. And I have knocked those doors in Edmonton Centre. And I know how progressive a riding Edmonton Centre is. I've represented it since 2015. And for Danielle Smith to bring the mouthpiece of the MAGA conservative far right to Edmonton Centre to spew hate about LGBTQ2 people is beyond the pale. It's deplorable, and we won't stand for it. And I can tell you, it is completely unacceptable for the Premier of any province to say that she wants to put a target on the back of any Canadian politician, and my friend and colleague Stephen Guilbeault simply for doing his job.
Special thanks to the fine people at True North and the Canadian Public Access Channel too for putting that together video. We're putting that video together anyway. So you can see where he's coming from, the desperation in their voices and the outrage of all that. Oh my goodness, the outrage. How dare he do this? Oh my goodness. I'll be right back after this.
Stay updated and follow Crusty Canuck on Facebook, Twitter, Gab, Telegram, YouTube, and Podbean. Subscribe today and donate at crustycanuck.ca.
That's right, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to Crusty Canuck Podcast, episode 258. Without further ado, based on popular demand, I do present to you another beautiful segment of
the Canadian Polar Vortex of Bullshit.
That's right, ladies and gentlemen, the Canadian Polar Vortex of Bullshit. And based on some heavy thought and concentration and some brainstorming, this episode's winner of the Canadian Polar Vortex of Bullshit, based on the outcry and the outrage of Mr. Tucker Carlson's appearance in Calgary and Edmonton this past week, I like to present to you this episode's winner is Mr. Wait for it, Mr. Randy Boissonnault himself. That's right. The Minister of Employment, Workforce, all that good stuff. That's right. Give yourself a round of clap there, Randy. And please, please, please tell us exactly how you feel about winning the prestigious Canadian Polar Vortex of Bullshit Award, sir. No comments, sir? Is it you're bashful? What is it? Well, I do like to get pegged on Sunday mornings. Well, sir, that's a different story altogether. That's none of my concern. What you do on Sundays, I don't care what you do behind closed doors. But please tell us exactly how you really feel about winning the prestigious Canadian Polar Vortex of Bullshit Award.
I'm so happy I could just shit.
Well, if that's the case, sir, well done on you and congratulations. And I highly suggest you get your ass out of politics because you keep proving to us that you just really don't care about the Canadian people. You're just going on with, toting a virtue because your boss says so, and you just want to keep your job. Okay? So good luck to you, sir. Once again, round of a clap for you, Randy, and your minions. All the best to you, sir, and whoever you peg with on Sundays. Yeah, cheers. Yeah. This has been another segment of the glorious and infamous
The Canadian Polar Vortex of Bullshit.
Right back after this, ladies and gentlemen.
Stay updated and follow Crusty Canuck on Facebook, Twitter, Gab, Telegram, YouTube, and Podbean. Subscribe today and donate at crustycanuck.ca.
And we're back, ladies and gentlemen, episode 258 of the Crusty Canuck podcast for this beautiful 29th of January, 2024. Tucker Carlson and the Outcry. I'm your host, Crusty Canuck. And one more time, ladies and gentlemen, if you like and hear what you see, please click and subscribe and share this content all over your social media platforms too. Send me a comment. You see this on YouTube or Rumble or any other platform. Give me a thumbs up. Give me a comment. Let me know what's going on. Get the algorithm going. Generate interest. And it's because of wonderful people like you that I keep doing this podcast. But I'm at a point now, and when I'm doing this show, I would really, really consider that asking that you donate something to. You don't have to, I want to keep this free, but if you do feel like donating to this podcast, please do, because it helps me a great deal. It will help me a great deal too. So like say, for example, if I had 1,000 subscribers on my tube and they give me $1 a month, that'd be great. Or if I had 500 subscribers, give me $1 a month. That'd be great. Give what you can, ladies and gentlemen. I'm not going to demand a certain price code. I'm not going to demand this. I do have a shop. You can click on in my description, buy some t-shirts, hats, and swagger, all that good stuff too. Or you can just watch for free and do your own thing. Like I say, I'm not going to demand money, but I will ask if you want to donate, please consider donating. Help me get my work out there in a timely and efficient manner and make it worth my while. You know what I mean? And while you're doing that, ladies and gentlemen, just make sure you give our local politicians and the people that don't represent us
absolutely nothing.
Exactly. Anyway, that's basically all I have for today, ladies and gentlemen. I don't want to go off too much of a loop. I have some business meetings to do this evening in regards to some of my writing. But needless to say, I had to get an episode up there free as all my wonderful people and do what you can, to make light of this darkness that's being presented to us today. I personally don't care who comes to Canada to speak their mind. Honestly, and my lifestyle is not compromised because Tucker Carlson said some key words or some bad words in Calgary, Edmonton. It doesn't faze me at all. Okay. The fact that he generates a fan base, and as an American, he is seeing what's going on in this country for what it is. He doesn't come to Canada with the stereotype talking about Timbits and hockey and how cold it is. He's a well-informed individual, and I suggest you give him a chance, regardless if you agree with him or not. Because we're starting to see a dynamic here. We're starting to see a good shift. And I think a good shift in a good way, because we are seeing people taking responsibility for what they want to do. And they're taking responsibility for their lives. I know you are. I know I am. My wife is. My family is. My friends, my coworkers, my employers. We're all stepping up to try to find a decent light where we can live our lives to the best of our abilities and without worrying about what some kind of progressor or wokey needs to say. Time to grow up, pull up our pants, and carry on with the light. It's that simple, folks. Anyway, one more time, if you like and hear what you see, click like and subscribe, share this commentary all over your social media platforms, the best of your ability. Thank you once again to my new subscribers. You guys are awesome. I got a few more subscribers on Rumble and YouTube. Another round of applause for you wonderful people out there. You guys are awesome. Keep it up. Keep the comments going and share my stuff all over the place if you can too. And like I always say, ladies and gentlemen, do what you can. Help each out in these trying times. I know things are going to be tough. Don't let the good weather get cocky, though. Keep your warm clothes on standby just in case, and keep your cars plugged in if there's going to be a cold snap. As I see enough people lose their batteries when they got cocky with the warm weather and we got a cold front, then voila, have to replace a battery. So be due diligence, ladies and gentlemen. That's the term. Due diligence on your part. But like I always say, look after your friends and loved ones, and let's find the light in this manufactured darkness. And like I always say, ladies and gentlemen, humanity and merit wins the day. Take care, and I'll see you tomorrow for a Tuesday rant. Bye for now.
Hit it, sweetheart. Because I am hard, you will not like me. Yes, sir. There is no racial bigotry here. Here you are all equally worthless.
This has been another episode of the Crusty Canuck podcast. Stay sane and thank you for listening. From Western Canada, this is the Crusty Canuck podcast.
Flap and tickle for your pickle and your taxes. See ya.